So now I've cut the panels that will fit the bottom of the shelf, as well as the casing underneath the drawer. Just notch them out to where the leg supports go so that they fit in there nice and snug. So we're going to go ahead and glue and brad nail those down as well. So now I've given it a good sanding once over, and I've cut and shaped the top to its final dimension. So the next step, we're going to take the top, flip it over, and route a nice profile on the bottom of it. So whenever you route a panel, you always want to start with the end grain first, so that's where we're going to start. So now we have a really consistent, nice looking pattern around the top of our cabinet. So now we have to find a way to join the top of the cabinet to the cabinet itself. The best way I've found to do this is with a little doweling jig. You can pick these things up at Harbor Freight, various different sizes. The one we're going to go with today is a 3/8 inch dowel. Now, I don't really want to glue this into place and set it permanently yet because I still want to have access. One of the very first cabinets I built, I didn't consider that this is all still got to be painted. So we don't really want to put the tabletop on. Plus, I still have to put the drawer runners in. And it's much easier to access all that stuff when the top's not on. So all we'll do is mock it up. We'll dry fit everything with the dowels, and then we'll know exactly where it's going to lie, and when the time comes to assemble everything, it'll be really easy to take. So to make that setup, hopefully you can see that on the dowel itself, I've set it up, and then I put the collar around it and match up where the tip of that drill bit is going to line up with that halfway mark. You really want to go just a little bit past it and account for the glue that's going to be in the hole. But I mean, just by a hair. A little bit deeper than that. So now, no matter where we put it, and of course we want to try to keep it as even as we possibly can, but the set pins here are going to let us line it up exactly on the top and the bottom. So I want it in the four corners, and I want to try to keep as symmetrical as I can, but I can just go ahead and drill those 4 holes, and then we'll set up where the top should be. So back to that combination square for quick setup. The trusty old combination square will allow us to find the point where I want to put that dowel. I really want to go, this being 2x material, it's 1.5 inches, so it's 3/4 inch from the edge. So we will set the combination square to that mark, and then it'll be easy to find 3/4 by 3/4, and that'll give us the center point for our dowel to drive. Now I can go all the way around really quickly and mark where the center of that drill bit should go. Okay, so for this chore I want to go ahead and use my brushless DeWalt because this motor's got a little more power than the standard cordless drill. I also want to try to stay as close to a right angle from the top that I'm drilling in as I can. I don't want to get the dowel set in there off square. that's where we want it, and I got a rough idea of where these spikes are, just tap it. And then that's going to leave little indentations on this side of the top. Now it's going to be kind of hard to see on camera, but it's left small indentations in the wood as where the drill, the hole needs to be drilled. Okay, so there's what we have with that piece of the dowel protruding from the top of the cabinet. Now we can grab our top again and ensure that we have a good fit. And there it is. Sits down nicely. And it looks really good. Alright, so now that we've gotten our top to our cabinet situated, we can turn our attention back to our other solid wood glue-up, which is our drawer front. Again, I like to use solid wood for this part of the project. The drawer is constructed out of plywood, but this part I like to make solid because I can take that same router bit and put the same profile that's on the tabletop and transfer it to the drawer front so we have some symmetry to the project. I always oversize the panels, as I had mentioned before. It's always easy to cut a little bit of material away, a lot harder to add it to the project. So, I found the overall height that I want this drawer face to be, which is slightly a little overhang from the opening where the drawer is to go. From that point, I marked out from where the butt joint is that glues these two boards together an equal distance so that the seam falls directly in the middle of the project. So you can see where the joint is located, right here, equal distance from either side. Okay, so I just kept my router set up, the same bit, same router, same depth of cut, exactly the same, so that we can have a similar aesthetic appeal with the drawer face as the top. So now we have that same profile that we've routed into our top on our drawer face, and whether the customer realizes it or not, it's going to be more appealing to them because that profile is identical and we used it in two different places. Okay, so now we want to mock up the position of the drawer face to the drawer front. In order to do that, what I've done is laid it out where I want the drawer to rest in that cavity. I've positioned the drawer slides to either side to make sure that the spacing is correct for that. And then I've taken a couple of pieces of material that are the same thickness and slid them underneath the drawer to elevate it just a little bit so we know exactly where want that drawer to fall. Now, in past experiences, I have glued the drawer face to the drawer front, but if you need to make adjustments, it's hard to do after that glue sets. So what I've found works a little bit better is to just go ahead and drill an oversized hole, just a little bit bigger than the screw you're using in the drawer front, and then do not drill into the drawer face. Allow that thread to catch the back side of here and pull the drawer face tight to the drawer front. Now we can mark it where we would like for it to sit once the top is installed. We want to make sure the reveal looks nice on either side and that is equal, and then the top and bottom reveal is equal as well. So that leaves us with our drawer front connected to our drawer face in the orientation in which it needs to set once the drawer is closed in the front. Alright, so there it is, drawer slides installed. Now we have a nice operable drawer. Glides nice and smooth. This is a little something new for me because I usually make wooden drawer slides for my drawers. But I went ahead and opted for mechanical ones in this application. Okay, so I've gone ahead and installed the handle for the drawer. Just drilled the holes for those and then came on the back side with the Forstner bit and made a recess for the heads of those hardware screws. You can do that, or you can buy a little bit longer screws. It is a little bit easier to take care of that. So now, one of the big focus points of this project was to be able to put some pictures on top. In order to do that, I went ahead and bought some high quality pine for this top rail because it's going to be the most visible point. It's going to be at the very top of the project, and I've laid out where I want to take away the recess. Now basically we're going to put the pictures on the top, we're going to lay the pictures down, and then we're going to put a piece of glass over that. And these cap pieces are going to be what holds that glass into place. In order to do that, we're going to have to cut a little rabbet out of this material. I've laid it out and marked it. And we'll go ahead over to the router table and cut those. So now, after running that rabbet, we have this small notch, which is going to allow for each of these to join in the corner and the glass to sit flush beneath it. So let's just do a dry fit, test it out. Grab our pane of glass, slide it in place. And make sure we have a good fit on everything. It's lining up well. And that looks really good. Okay, so we have everything set and ready to go. Just going to do a final sanding, get ready for prime and paint. I'm going to take all the hardware off, the drawer handle out, the drawer slides off, and sand it down really nicely to a smooth finish, and we're going to go ahead and begin to prime. I believe the only piece I'm going to leave unpainted is the top itself, and have that as an accent point on the piece. So it'll okay, so I went ahead and stained the top. I inserted the dowels with the glue and set that into place. Went ahead and installed the drawer slides as well to have easier access to them, even though we already had the holes established. That way they're not so difficult to reach. So now I want to go ahead and put this frame around the glass top. And we've set the pictures in place as to where we want them in their permanent location. So to fasten the frame around the glass, I want to just use the brad nails so that if down the road something is to happen to this piece of glass, it'll be easy to replace. Okay, so now we got her all finished. Everything's painted, everything's assembled. We have our pictures in the top. We have all of our finish on. We got the frame pieces and the glass is installed. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the reflection a little bit on the glass. Everything looks really nice. And I really like that little bit of accent in the piece. I always like to break the monotony of the color. I don't really like to do a solid color piece because I think that gives it a little hint of something else. Alright guys, so that's it for this project. We've got everything assembled. I think this project turned out really nicely, and it gives a nice little accent with this touch of stain in the piece, and then also with the pictures in there, really nice for the client that this build is for. Hopefully this video was helpful for someone out there trying to do a project similar to this. Of course, you could modify this. You could make this into a dresser or a full set of chest or drawers. You just have to add more drawers, obviously. But I hope this video was helpful for someone out there, and maybe it inspired you guys to get out there and build something. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll have more tutorial videos coming in the near future.